Well, hello everybody. I'll start the camera here momentarily. Just ask that one of my friends who is helping me if they could let me know they're seeing stuff. My slideshow and my logo. Well, hello everybody. Shift this a little bit. So, one thing I am incredibly excited about is that today is the first episode. Whoa, fall over here. So the first episode of T3Live outside. When I originally came up with the concept for a live show, I had imagined myself building like a Johnny Carson style desk out of logs, and having it be a variety show type deal, but with actual education. And now that the weather is warming back up, that is yet another thing that I can start working on. So if anybody could let me know if they can hear and see me, that would make my life so much better. Give people a minute to log in. One sec. So, one thing that would have added a bit of production value to this live stream, sad production value, unfortunately, is the next door neighbors are in the process of felling trees that are hundreds of years old. 3 times in the last 2 days, I've had pictures knocked off my walls from just giants falling, and it's causing me to tear up just to think that, here's this beautiful being that has been in one spot for far longer than any of us have been alive. And in a blink of an eye, it's gone. Think about all of the seasons that tree saw, all of the beings. It's unfathomable to me. They even hired a selective harvest logger who tried to convince them not to just cut everything down, but they clear cut anyway. And it's sad. It's really, really, really sad. So I'm assuming that everybody's seeing this, so I'm going to keep rolling with it. Yeah, it's that logging is a prime example of what I am trying to fight with future nature and T3 photography. Yeah, as my father before me, I was set on this path long ago, and uh, you know, we humans, we think we're so smart, and we think we can just manipulate each other, the landscape, and things are going to work out just fine. And they do things without thoughts to the future generations of millions of other beings. And that's what I'm trying to stop. That's what drives me. to work myself into the ground. I started Future Nature and T3 photography in February-ish 2001 because I wanted to return to a space where I'm traveling a bit to teach. You know, I've got two private classes I recently booked, one in Montana and one in California. And also just to be, you know, in full control of what I'm putting out there into the world. And, you know, I thought things were going to be fine. You know, I thought that, uh, you know, I've been teaching around here long enough that, you know, I had enough connections. So, you know, breaking the number one rule of survival, well, not the number one rule, but a rule of survival is, you know, an easier way to put it is, you know, I put all my eggs in this one particular basket, not realizing that the basket uh, had a hole or two in the bottom. But, you know, a vision is something that just drives you day in, day out. And I wasn't going to let that stop me, you know. And then the universe decided after the best 10 years of my life that it was time for a test. And over the last year, I have been tested on so many different levels. I went from living, you know, a wonderful life, you know, just, you know, safety, security, and comfort. And in a very, you know, literally snap of a fingers, I find myself in the position I am now, which is the reason for this video. You know, when I first left school working with my dad in 2009, I thought to myself, hell, I'm Tom Brown's son. This is going to be easy. I pretty quickly found out that, well, yes, it did give me, you know, a slight advantage. Uh, Not as much as I was hoping for. So I very quickly, you know, had to refit the ship, change things around, and Primitive Arts Collective was a great organization. You know, some of you watching this may have, you know, taken a class or two when I was doing that. I was traveling around teaching at other organizations, and yeah. So then, you know, long story short, an opportunity came up to help build a nonprofit outdoor education center in Virginia. And my former partner and I decided to go give it a try. And so we picked up our life and moved to Virginia along with two of our other friends, Kevin and McNeil. And we proceeded to take this beautiful old farm that had been neglected and turn it into like you know, a showcase of permaculture and caretaking. And then, you know, we found out that things weren't what they appeared to be. And yeah. So anyway, long story short, that led me out here to Oregon, you know, where I, for the past quite a few years, have been teaching around here. And my inner vision started nagging at me, like I said, February 2001 or 2021, that it was time to build something that was my own again. I hate to throw around the word legacy, but to create my own legacy. I'm not Tom Brown Jr. I'm T3. Um, his stories are his stories. And I now realize the coyote lesson in the whole thing that leaving there was the best thing I could have done for myself. Because let's see, I left there in 2009. I suck at math, but you know, I've spent the last 12-ish years, uh, you know, finding my own stories, becoming responsible for my own faith, taking the things I learned as a child, as an adult, working for him, and the things I learn daily and adapting them to my teachings, and coming up with my own style, you know, and yeah, these last few months, those of you, quite a few of you have been following my story, have been really rough on me. You know, I talk about breaking the number one rule of survival. When I realized that things weren't going to work out the way I had planned, in a panic, I sold my beautiful Toyota truck that I've spent years working on, because gas was $6 a gallon and I didn't have a steady paycheck anymore. And I panicked and I traded it in on a Subaru, which turned out to be a lemon, which I then had to trade in on another Subaru, which is amazing. But now I have a car payment that I didn't have before. Um, any of you watching this or who will watch this knows that, operating a business, especially alone, is incredibly difficult, especially when you're someone like me who was born in the wrong century. These last few months that I've been wholly on my own, I have spent so much time just learning about business and all these things. Hold on. Somebody says they can't hear me, but others say they can. Can somebody send me a message that they can hear me? Sorry, 1 second, gang. All right. So, so yeah, I've learned a whole new set of skills. I used to literally be so terrified of spreadsheets that they would give me an anxiety attack. And now I know how to use spreadsheet. Um, so, that alone is a Herculean feat. Anyway, so yeah, so currently I am part of, an unemployment program for people who are trying to start small businesses. So I'm essentially being paid a small sum of money every week that I already earned to work 40 hours a week on my business. And I laugh at that because I couldn't tell you the last time I worked just a 40-hour week. Um, I haven't had, other than my vacation to Alaska 2 years ago, which was half vacation, half class. I haven't taken any vacations. I don't take days off. And I'm trying everything to realize my vision of creating, an army of caretakers. And I now find myself in a position where I need to reach out to the community and ask for a little help. We're just coming out of winter. People are, people are signing up for my classes. I had one thing I'm doing is Airbnb experiences. So I have a 5 hour survival crash course. I had my first one yesterday, and nature education is so important to me that this woman was from Guatemala. I spent 4 hours driving. I had to drive into Portland, which is an hour, pick her up, bring her out here, do the class, and then drive her back. And, for $100. And that may sound like a lot of money, but for a long day, and then, I still have stuff I have to clean up when I'm done here. Um, it's worth it to me because, as my father believes, I believe that if we can just convince one more person to reconnect to nature, lead them back to Earth Mother, that we'll have that critical mass event that will shift the way we think about our place and our position on the planet, and how in just a blink of an eye we have gone from living in relative harmony with nature to just taking and taking without thinking of our future generation of our species, as well as the more than human world. We like to think that we sit upon this ivory throne atop this tower of approximately 9 million different species. When in fact, those of you watching this know that it's not a tower, it's a circle. It's a circle of, approximately 9 million different creatures of all different shapes and sizes. And they're all connected by this web, the web of life. And just because we have big brains relative to our body size and opposable thumbs and can invent cool things like phones and the ability to talk to you live anywhere in the world right now, is great. But at what cost? You know, do some research if you haven't about what they have to do to get the precious metals to power our computers and our smartphones. And it's sad. We're meant to be caretakers of ourselves, of each other, of the more than human world. We're not meant to be takers. And that's why, I deemed this year the year of the caretaker. One thing I can tell you is that I will make this work. My only bosses from here on out are nature and my student. This is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do because as of about 15 minutes ago, I started an IndieGoGo campaign. It's for $12,000, and it's it's, sorry, it's hard for me to talk about. That money will allow me to pay down some things so I don't have to pay out so much. I have my child support I have to pay. I want to take classes. on business and marketing that I can't afford to do right now. I want to be able to, do some targeted marketing, which I can afford to do now. I want to, be able to, eat better food because this T3 you see here, the last year and a half, they have consumed me. Look at me. I'm 6 foot, almost 6'2", and I weigh 100 and I probably, I actually, I wonder what my body fat is. But one thing I know is that if I started eating right and lifted out, and started eating right and lifting, I would get pretty buff pretty quick. So anyway, that's a topic for another day. So anyway, this IndieGoGo campaign, it'll run for 60 days. There are some perks if you donate at various levels. And there's also other types of support I need. I need support when it comes to website SEO and internet marketing and things like that. These skill sets that I are foreign to me. And that's one of the beautiful things about us as a species is that, I've acquired around business and, video editing and videography and learning about lighting have come to fruition via trade. My friend Timothy Wildgoose, he'll come over here, we'll work on some skill for an hour or two, and then he'll sit at the computer and teach me how to use video editing software, use Premiere. I love that sort of stuff. And I apologize for the quality of the of this. When it populates, it'll be much better. Um, that's one of the banes of living out here in the country is that you have to deal with pretty bad internet. But more, it's the fact that the house I live in, um, pretty much everybody works from home and works on their computer. So that's it. I'm not asking for much money. I'm not trying to buy a piece of land. Uh, I just want to make it through these next few months, build myself up a little bit of a cushion of savings so that I don't have to wake up every morning with this anxiety and this, fear that's within me around money. Um, it's not a fun feeling, you know. As somebody who their whole life has never had to worry about not having enough, this is also just as foreign as a lot of the business skills I'm trying to learn. So I ask, if you can donate, or better yet, I'll rephrase it. If nature has ever had a profound effect on you, if taking a class with me or my father or any of the other schools out there have caused you to realize the magnificence of the temples of creation, I ask you to help me out because a huge part of my plan involves collaboration. Collaboration with other organizations. I'm going to be collaborating soon with everybody from Andrea Kreiner of Red Cedar Forest Therapy here in the Portland area to Mr. Rick Barry and 4EEE down in Nevada City, Adam LaRue from the Sharpening Stone. I've had some preliminary conversations with Ben Sanford from Tribal Edge. I'm doing a class with Tom Elpel, of all people, author of Botany in a Day. It's like the first book I recommend to my plant students, my wild edible plant students. He's doing a 2-week Oregon botany intensive. And he called and asked me if I wanted to teach a few days. And I was so honored. So what I'm doing is working, you know. It's just not working fast enough, right? It's like an hourglass. Things are running out as things are picking up, but sometime in the next 6 weeks, it's going to reach a tipping point where things are going to get really bleak. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. I will put a link to the IndieGoGo campaign in the show notes to this. You can rewatch it once it uploads, and it'll be much better quality. So I apologize, but thank you all so much. You know, and the most important thing of all is, oh, there we go. Look like it clicked out for a second. The most important thing of all is get your butt outside. Until next time, y'all. Peace.